Hello, good afternoon. My name is Rory Fulger, and I am the pre-college education programs manager at Wolfram Research. And I'm here with Erin, if you want to introduce yourself, Erin.
Hello, I'm Erin. I am the program coordinator for Rory's team, and I also serve as the academic.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, awesome. So we will be chatting through today all of the education programs that we offer to kind of college and pre-college students. We're going to be especially focusing on the Wolfram Middle School Summer Camp, the Wolfram High School Summer Research Program, the Wolfram Emerging Leaders Program, Computational Adventures, and to a certain extent, the Wolfram Student Ambassador Initiative. So we're going to have a lot of fun today. We're just going to chat through what all of these programs are, what we do for them, how they work, who we accept, and give you a bunch of information about programs, especially the summer programs, because we're hitting our stride in recruitment for trying to find some amazing kids to join us for the summer. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna let Erin get started talking about the Wolfram Middle School summer camp and handing over to Erin.
yeah, awesome. So our middle school summer camp is kind of the first entry point into all of these other programs. Um, so middle school summer camp is for students who are aged 11 to 14, and who identify as girls or gender nonconforming. Um, there's a little bit of overlap there with high school. If you're 14 years old, you might want to do middle school, you might want to do high school. That's going to depend on the specific kid. Um, you don't have to have computer science experience to do the middle school camp. We don't expect kids to know another programming language or to have taken a computer science class. Anybody can do it. And if you know somebody who might be interested in the middle school camp, they should apply soon. Our early deadline is the end of this week, but we do also have a regular decision deadline later on in April, if you're not quite ready for that. But yeah, so middle school students ages 11 to 14 who are interested in STEM programming, learning a little bit of stuff. Um, Another important part of our middle school program is our staff. So our staff, which Rory, hopefully we'll have time to get into this a little bit later with the high school program, but all of our staff for the middle school program are alumni of our other programs. So they have at least done the Wolfram Summer Research Program and the Wolfram Emerging Leaders Program, as well as our TA training. Again, hopefully we'll have time to get into those later since they're a little bit more on the high schooler side of things. Um, and really exciting, a couple of our mentors for this year, I think two of them, their first program they did was the middle school camp. So we have mentors who do the middle school camp, come back, do all the other programs, and then eventually are mentors for students who may in the future become mentors themselves. It's really, really exciting. And yeah, our mentors do pretty much all of the teaching. We do a little bit ourselves as the directors, but mostly we kind of design things, and then our staff is the ones teaching it to the students. And so they get kind of a near peer environment where there's high schoolers or maybe early college students teaching them, as opposed to me and Rory, who are well away from kind of being in the same realm of schooling at this point. Um, yeah, I think I'm not seeing any questions yet. So if you guys are having questions as we're trying to talk through things, what kind of teaching, lectures, homework, that's perfect. I've got a question about what kind of teaching we do. And to kind of talk about the academics for middle school, it's split into not lectures, but class blocks and explorations. So we really try with both of our programs to do as little lecturing to students as possible. So our classes kind of alternate between 15, maybe 10 minutes of introducing a new concept or function, and then 15 minutes of students working in small groups on kind of specific exercises to get used to using those functions. So if they're learning how to use the function table, they'll get a quick little intro, and then they'll go and do exercises learning how to use table. Obviously, with little exercises, you're not really learning how to code big things. So we also have explorations where the students dive into a topic, get to do kind of a mini project where they get to actually write a little program that's going to have some kind of nice output. So we've got like a machine learning one, we've got ones for computational art, music, working with different kinds of data. So working with the entity framework in Wolfram, um, importing data, working a little bit with like geographic data, try to cover a lot of the kind of topics we can't get into in a class block where we're kind of just focused on the functions. So yeah, all of the teaching we do is kind of focused on getting the kids doing hands-on stuff either immediately or as quickly as we can. It's kind of our overall goal. Um, yeah, yeah. Um,
What do you think is the kind of, I don't know, what do kids find easy? What do they find hard? What's exciting for the middle schoolers?
Ooh, I think it's a little all over the place. I think one thing they always say they appreciate is both how much hands-on stuff we do and the kind of the two different types. So some kids do well with the kind of introduce a function topic and then do a couple little exercises, and that really helps them grasp it. Sometimes other kids maybe like that doesn't quite work for them, but they then have plenty of time in those explorations to actually start to go deeper on those skills. We always make sure we have plenty of the mentors around to help while they're working on the explorations. And then we also do some things like we have review sessions throughout the week. And then also Rory and I usually make ourselves available while the kids are doing exploration so they can come and ask us questions and, without kind of the pressure of maybe feeling like there's a whole bunch of other students wanting to move on. We try to build plenty of time for them to ask questions if they're struggling with things. Um, yeah, outside of academics, also the kids usually really enjoy our social activities. The middle school camp is totally virtual, totally online, but we still try to get the kids making friends with each other. And we also try to keep those relatively mixed up. So I know a favorite we do every year is for the kids to do a scavenger hunt of things in their houses, which is really fun. It gets them sharing things, from their real life with all of their friends from the camp. Also forces them to take a little break from their screens. So it's super fun, and we try to keep things varied. We also do a couple special activities. So we do some panels. One is with myself and Rory, and then a couple other either Wolfram employees, like friends of Wolfram, who are relatively established in their tech careers. And we talk to the kids about what we did in high school and college and how we got to where we are today. We do a similar panel with our mentor team. So those are high schoolers and college students. So a little bit closer to where the middle schoolers are currently at. And those panels usually are also a highlight of the program. And then the last kind of highlight is the students get to meet Stephen Wolfram, the CEO of our company, and they do a Q&A with him where they get to ask him questions about his life. It's kind of got a similar energy to some of Stephen's live stream Q&As, but it's just for the middle school kids. And then they also get a chance to, at the end of the camp, meet with them, talk through what they liked, what they didn't like, what kind of projects they worked on, and all that stuff, and have a little bit more of a small group chill chat with Steven. Yeah, I think that's kind of the super high level overview of what the middle school camp is all about. So if you guys do have questions, feel free to keep putting those in the chat. Um, what if a student is super shy and wants to learn but doesn't want to talk or do activities? Um, yeah, we do often have, one or two students that are on the shy side. And we have a couple different ways we try to approach this. For one, when the students are working in small groups, we tend to try to have them work with the same kids every time. So instead of constantly mixing them up and a shy student is then interacting with a whole bunch of kids they've barely met, they kind of can get to form a couple of connections while they're working on those exercises. Sometimes also while they're working on explorations, they get to meet those kids and get a little bit more comfortable. And usually in doing that, we see those kids open up by the end of the week. So sometimes we start a little shy, but we kind of try to keep them, making connections, try to have those social activities where they can get to know each other. And yeah, I don't think we usually have an issue with anybody being shy by the end of the camp. Usually get them to open up. Yeah. All right, awesome. I think hopefully you guys will keep that questions filter in, but in the meantime, I'm going to pass things over to Rory to dive into the high school program.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so where the middle school program obviously is for our younger students and is online. Our high school program, which is kind of the flagship program, is uh really fantastic for the slightly older kids. So the Wolfram High School Summer Research Program takes students aged kind of 14 to 17. We're in person in Boston. We live at Bentley University for 2.5, almost 3 weeks. And the kind of big goal of the High School Summer Research Program, which we call WSRP for short because it's too many words to say, is that the students all do a big project, right? So they do an individual project that is based entirely on their strengths, their interests, their skill sets, the things that they want to learn. And we accept kids who want to do all kinds of different things, right? So we'll have kids who are really into chemistry, kids who are really into physics, kids who are really into linguistics, music, history, math, computer science, all of the standard kind of STEM plus subjects. And what we do with them is we find them a really interesting project that is at the kind of intersection of the things that they're good at, the things that they're excited by, and the things that they want to learn, which is really cool. And so then we pair them up with a kind of expert mentor, and they work for the majority of that 2.5 weeks on their project. And at the end, they get to publish a computational essay, a kind of you know research paper type essay online, and it's really great. Uh, so that's the kind of big main point of the program. But the kinds of kids that we accept, usually they are really bright kids. They it's not a requirement to, be 5 years ahead or taking, I don't know, differential equations and algebra and all kinds of crazy stuff in, freshman year of high school. But they're all bright kids who are particularly passionate about their subject area and especially about kind of applying computation to their subject. They come from all around the world. We have a really global program. Last year, I believe we were from about 15, 18 countries, and kind of 20 states. And so, we have a wide range of people from around the world. We offer financial aid packages, so we have kids from a variety of kind of economic backgrounds, as well as academic. Uh, we have around 70 students. Last year, 65, this year, 70. And around 20 mentors. So each kid is in a group of 3 or 4 students per mentor. And then they work on their individual project together. So the kind of general day in that program is made up mostly of project time. It's 2 big chunks of project time. And what the students do during that time is, they start off, they're really defining their project, working on, background research, filling any gaps in knowledge that they might have. Maybe their project requires a little bit more calculus than they have, and so then they teach themselves with the support of their mentor, a chunk of calculus over, a day or two. So, big accelerated learning stuff over that first few days. And then they start really deep diving into their project, into this specific thing that they're doing. And over the course of that program, they really dive very, very deeply into this individual project, come up with, often kind of novel research ideas, novel novel conclusions that they build from their data. They build, a fairly large code base, and they write a, fairly extended essay. And it's very exciting. Um, yeah, so there was a cool question here that says, what's the main difference from a student's perspective between the middle school camp versus the high school program? Um, there are quite a lot of differences. So at its very core, both of the programs, have a lot of similarities. They're both kind of coding and computational thinking focused. They're both, friendly communities where we have a lot of fun and do a lot of, deep academic work. But there are also, superficial differences like, the high school program is, you know, t nearly three times as long. And the high school program, the students do, this individual research project, whereas the middle school students, they don't do a kind of individual project. We guide them through mini projects, and help them to create a bunch of kind of smaller portfolio pieces, but we don't just kind of throw them out of the nest and have them do a big independent research project at 11 or 12 years old. Whereas the high schoolers, they have quite a lot more academic freedom, and so they do deeper and more complicated work. Also, in person versus virtual, so there are pros and cons for each of those. And the high schoolers, I think, benefit from in person more than the middle schoolers would benefit from being in person. So they have a good time. Um, okay, I'll answer that one a bit. Okay.
We did have one other question before that one,
Oh yeah,
about
yeah,
if you
you can
have,
answer that.
a middle schooler who's a boy who's interested in learning Wolfram language stuff. We don't offer any co-ed middle school programs, but we do have Computational Adventures, which is designed to be for all ages. It's a great entry point. So that's kind of the best thing. And then, as I kind of alluded to, we do have a bit of overlap with the ages for middle school. So if you're 14 years old, you can just go to high school regardless. And we occasionally have 13-year-olds, but not very often.
Yeah, awesome. Um, yeah. Okay, so let's talk through the kind of the staff and who are we as the staff team. Um, so the staff team at the high school program is made up, we start off with the directors, which is myself, Erin, and Megan, and we all have uh similar but different backgrounds in academia, yeah, in math and computer science and engineering. And you know, we've got a bunch of degrees between us, which is pretty cool. And what we do in general is, we run the program, we organize everything, we build, you know, the curriculum, we make everything happen. Once the kids are there in person, we're all available for helping with their projects and for making everything actually happen. Uh, Otherwise, it doesn't if nobody's there to do it. The kind of next group is we have mentors, and our mentors, um, we have around 20 mentors. So each mentor has three or four students that they're individually in charge of their academic experience. And those mentors range from, we have a couple of undergraduate students who have done our programs in the past and so are kind of expert Wolfram language users and, are fantastic. And then we have, kind of graduate students, and then we have kind of Wolfram employees and other kind of people in their 30s, 40s, 50s that are, working professionals. Some of those people, sometimes we have teachers and professors from high schools and colleges from around the country and the world, and that's pretty cool. And then we also usually have a nice little group of our kind of slightly older mentors who are retired and having a really great time. Um, Yeah, and so then we also have our teaching assistants, and our teaching assistants are younger. They are in their later high school years and early undergraduate years. And they have done this program, the summer program, and then also a semester long, deeper project experience, which is the Wolfram Emerging Leaders program. And they've also done 3 months of teacher training with us, where they learn how to help students, they learn how to design activities, all kinds of stuff, which is pretty exciting. So that's our kind of big staff team. Um, we have referred. Okay, so we got two great questions here. So the first one is high school students can be notoriously mischievous or ill-behaved. What supervision do we provide? The kids are supervised all the time by competent adults who all have background checks and training and all kinds of stuff. They are very safe always. We take very good care of them. And we're on a closed campus, so there's kind of nowhere to go. And we kind of know who's on campus. The university knows who's on campus, so that's all good. Um, it is during scheduled activities, students are supervised all the time, and then they have some free time every day where there are staff around, but not kind of directly making eye contact. But there's always staff there. They have everybody's cell phone numbers. There's walkie-talkies in the dorm rooms for the kind of emergency staff member. So they are very safe and well cared for during the program. Um, yeah. The next question we had was, we've talked about projects. What does that mean? Can we give examples of projects? Yeah, let's give examples of projects. I think that's a great idea. So, if we have a look at the high school program website, we can see some kind of different projects that students have done. So, I'm just pull out a couple of some slightly different types of projects. So, for example, you know, let's look at Ritvik's project here this year, the last year. So he did, robotics vector field optimization analysis. And so, if you scroll through these kids' essays, they're pretty detailed and pretty intense. Got lots of code, lots of visualizations and outputs and text around that. Pretty snazzy. Um, there's specific kids do specific subjects. So like this student was really into chemistry and analyzed molecular cages, and so did a bunch of chemistry exploration within her project, which is pretty exciting. We have kids who get into various other things. So let's pick so this is one of our younger students. I believe potentially the youngest student we had last year. Um,
Yeah, I believe this
yeah.
was a student who did the middle school program and then immediately came into the high school
Yeah.
program.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, so she did the middle school program earlier in the summer and then, you know, jumped into the high school program that same year. And so she did a kind of tiling type project where she did some, animation to fold and unfold um, images based on spiral patterns. Um, so there's a range of kids who do a range of really exciting stuff, and you can find all of the projects in the project gallery on the website. Um, yeah, so there's a variety. Kids do some some very exciting things that would not have occurred to me to do in high school, even when I was doing exciting things. They come up with some amazing stuff to do. Um, yeah, so those are some examples of, the projects, the independent projects that the kids do at the high school level. Um, do, 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 do. We will talk about the explorations in just a second. This question, so for the high school program, what's the expected technical background? So students, uh, there there isn't there isn't a definitive bar of exactly what a student needs to know in order to successfully attend the program. But what they do during what they do before they come to us in the summer, so they do for their kind of homework between getting accepted and attending the program, is they do this Wolfram U course on creative computation, which is around the same level as the elementary introduction to Wolfram language, but has some areas where it's a bit more in depth, and is also has some kind of project-based work to do. So this is the kind of yeah, this is what students do in order to join the program after they've been accepted. So, they make some video games, they do some computational poetry, computational art, and during that they learn all of the kind of standard, you know, strings and patterns and colors and tables and lists and all of the exciting stuff that you would expect to learn. Um, in terms of deciding whether or not to apply, we accept students with a range of computer science backgrounds. It is not mandatory that they have to have coded in another language because we offer what we call our pre-program workshop. So around what 10 to 15 ish students out of the 70 have never taken a computer science class before, and they attend a 2-day weekend program a couple of weeks before the summer that is online, where we teach them all of the background that they'll need to know in order to succeed when they arrive in the summer. For students who don't attend that program, um, again, it's not mandatory that they are kind of fluent coders in other languages, and definitely not mandatory that they're a fluent coder in Wolfram. That is definitely not an expectation that we have for many students. Um, and but like I said, they tend to be, smart, motivated, technical students. And so, you know, the likelihood of somebody who's taken like two computer science classes and not tried very hard and not learned much getting in is low, but the likelihood of somebody who's taken two computer science classes and tried really hard and learned a bunch is high. So it's much more about their kind of motivation than it is about their you know, current exact perfection. She's got a great question, which is, can we accept autistic students? And yes, absolutely. We love our neurodiverse students. I personally did my master's degree in you teaching and learning and designing technology for twice exceptional students, so students who are both gifted and have learning disabilities. So as the program director for this program, I feel fairly confident to say that we are well equipped and trained to take kids with neurodivergent things, and that's not a problem at all. I would say that a chunk of our students are neurodivergent in some way. Um, you know, Once you get to the bright kids, it's tough to not have any neurodivergent ones. Um, yeah. So yes, please have your autistic smart children apply. We love that. Um, yeah. Okay. Fantastic. We should talk a little bit more about the kind of academic experience surrounding the project, right? So the students do a project, that is their main output for the program. But the program is not just, we don't just sit there and do a project. There's a bunch of other stuff, both academic and non-academic, that makes it a really positive learning and summer experience. So, first thing that we should talk about, is how we learn Wolfram language. So like we said, we have the students before they arrive in the summer, so after they've been accepted, but before they arrive, do that creative computation class on Wolfram U. And that gives them a solid foundation. And then when they arrive in the summer, we spend 4-ish days where the main activity is becoming really competent and confident in Wolfram language. And kind of we pull kids out three at a time to do project allocation with them. And there's some other stuff going on as well during that few days. But the main point of those few days is for students to learn Wolfram language. And how we do that is similarly to at the middle school program. It's all about what we call explorations. So these are self-contained mini projects that have, explanations for how to do particular things, and then large-scale activities for students to do to, build a machine learning application or to, I don't know, to, I'm struggling to come up with them off the top of my head, but to, Erin, do you want to just tell us what they are?
Yeah, we've got some for string manipulation. We've got one. I think we had a question about like the difference between fundamental stuff versus what's more advanced. One of the kind of fundamental skills that's focused on is we have an exploration all about modules and local environments, and the kids make Catan boards, Settlers of Catan. Um, so there's a lot of fun things like that, and also more advanced things into like specific topics. So, for example, like the chemistry project we were showing earlier, if we knew, that kid would probably also do our chemistry exploration when they're learning how to use all the chemistry functions. Some more examples.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and we have stuff like debugging. So they have a exploration called Rory's Broken Code, where there's a bunch of code that I've written that is broken in various different ways, and they have to debug it to make it work, which is pretty fun. And they'll explore cellular automata stuff, and graphs and networks and machine learning and geographic skills, 3D visualizations, all kinds of different stuff. And they'll, make this kind of big portfolio thing that they'll have a lot of fun with. Just had a great question, which is my kid only wants to play video games. Do you think they'll have fun at your program? Absolutely. Yeah, yes. Yep. I think that the kids that we have most fun teaching are good at video games. I've noticed this correlation. And yeah, and we happen to offer several, there'll be several classes on, you know, developing video games. I my second master's degree was in video game development, so we have fun doing that too. Yeah, so that's kind of how we teach and learn Wolfram. So the kids work in small groups to do all of these mini projects to really solidify their skills in, a range of different topics and to explore fun things that they maybe haven't done before. So maybe, my expectation is that 98% of the kids have never touched cellular automata stuff before. And then, they'll do these explorations, and then by the time they get into the phase of the program that is deciding what their project is, they're like, "Oh wow, this was really fun. I want to do more on that." And then they'll go and do more on that. So Yeah, but learning a bunch of new things, solidifying their previous knowledge, having a great time. Uh, Other kind of big academic activities that we do is kind of seminars and guest lectures. So seminars are led by our mentor team. So mentors might have, you know, uh, specific content knowledge that they are interested in sharing, maybe in physics, maybe in chemistry, maybe in math, maybe in linguistics, maybe in music theory, who knows, all kinds of different stuff. And every year those seminars are different, and we set those up as kind of no more than about 12 students get to go to each one of these. So there's dozens of them, but you know, a dozen of them, but they'll get to go to one or two. So they'll pick their favorites. And so it's a nice small group, and the mentor will teach something and then have them, create something or do something or have a big discussion around it. So it's not a lecture, it's a kind of more seminar-based activity. And they'll learn a bunch of different things that again is different each year. Then we also have guest talks, which are lectures. So those are kind of an hour long, and we have guest speakers come in from all kinds of different environments. Last year we had somebody who was doing fungi research, with mushrooms and vaccines and cool stuff. We had somebody who built a 3D video game in Wolfram Language, which was fairly extraordinary. We had somebody who was really into kind of tiling and the kind of permutations of kind of wallpaper stuff, which was exciting. We had somebody come and talk about cloning and ethical hacking, random random selection of stuff, and we try and base it on the types of kids that the types of things that the kids who apply are interested in. Once I've kind of gone through their interests, I then go and seek out exciting guest speakers to come and talk to them, which is pretty cool. And then we have Stephen Wolfram, the CEO, comes to talk to the students once, all as one big group. They do a kind of welcome Q&A thing, and then he meets with everybody who wants to meet with him in a kind of group of three or four, and they wander around campus together and have small conversations. And Stephen is also heavily involved in the project allocation experience. And we'll regularly come and just hang out in the kind of common room in the dorm and show off fun tech stuff. So last year he bought his big Oculus goggle things, and a bunch of the kids got to do a whole load of AR, you know, how does space work stuff, which was a lot of fun. So Stephen has a good time, I think, hanging out with the kids. It's a nice breath of fresh air. Um, Yeah, so lots and lots and lots of academic experiences to do, which is a lot of fun. And then, we're not just an academic program, it's also a summer program for teenagers. They're also trying to have fun. So, Erin, do you want to talk us through some non-academic activities?
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got a few different kind of things we do to make the program fun for the kids and also kind of, force them to take some breaks from their projects and things like that. So we do have a couple of field trips we do throughout the program. These are kind of the biggest non-academic thing we do. One of them is a little academic, I suppose, a bigger field trip. We do a field trip to MIT, and we visit the MIT Museum, which is fantastic. I highly recommend it. And then also some campus tours. And part of the reason why we go to MIT is because that's where I'm an alumni from. So the students get a little tour of campus from me. They're welcome to ask any questions, about dorm life, living on campus, majors, academics, research, all that kind of stuff. And they also get to explore just a little section of Cambridge. So just a small little section. They get to go out and find a place to go to dinner. Um, So they get a little bit of a break from being on the college campus for the whole program. And it's a really fun time. I think the MIT Museum is often something highlighted in a lot of like the testimonials from our students. And then more recently, starting last year, we are also doing mini field trips. So kind of in our break before the home stretch of working on their projects, the students either do a field trip into the nearby city of Waltham and get to have a nice kind of evening out, or they can go on a hike to the nearby park conservation place. I forget what the name of it is, but there's some great hiking trails near the campus that we're on. So there's also the option to do that. And yeah, those are kind of just a way for the students to get to take a little bit of a breath of fresh air away from campus before they lock in and finish up their projects. In addition to the field trips, we have a variety of other social activities that happen on campus. We most days have at least one or two social activities in the evening. We kind of try to hit a variety of things. So we've got some that are, more physical activities. So like playing a game of basketball with their friends. We've got things that are maybe more academic. So we sometimes have a hackathon. Um, so we try to get a mix, some creative activities as well, some that are kind of just fun and silly, playing Just Dance or Mario Kart or things like that. So we try to get a really nice spread of the social activities. And those are designed by our TAs. So Roy and I don't have to worry about staying current in terms of what teenagers find fun. Our TAs come up with those social activities, and then we help them put together a nice schedule. And we have a couple of special activities we do. We do a pizza party when the students first show up on campus so they can all get to know each other and talk to them about being on campus. We end the program with an ice cream social. Again, kind of a big event for them to all get to party, talk about the program, have a nice kind of wrap up with all their friends. And then my personal favorite is we do a trivia night, which is, in my opinion, one of the most fun things we do. Um, and then our kind of last non-academic thing we do are minors. So every student in the program will be participating in some kind of minor. And these are non-academic activities where the students are learning things, learning new skills, ideally working with a group of people. These are not all creative, but a lot of them go into kind of creative fields. And we base what the minors are based on what our students are interested in. So we don't have our finalized minors for this year, but in the past we've done a sports minor, we've had an art minor, we've had a music and band minor, we've had a dance minor, a creative writing minor, and theater minor. So this is a chance for kids, if they've never done art before, it's an opportunity for them to learn some art. If they love art and they've been missing it while they've been working on their computer science projects, they can have a little break in their evenings to work on the minors. We usually offer 4 to 5, depending on how many students we have and how big we can make our minors. Some of them we can only really have 10 kids in them. And then the students also don't just get to experience one. We do these taster sessions before the students are locked into a minor where they get to experience a little snippet of the kinds of things they would be doing. And then students get placed into minors based on how they rank them. So the students aren't just shuffled into a random minor. If they hate creative writing, they won't have to do creative writing. But they will pick some kind of minor and kind of expand their horizons in a little bit of a different direction than they do during like project time or the other academic activities. Yeah. Um, cool. I think
Awesome.
we've got a couple questions about um, understanding students' interest and application process. I think, Rory, if you want to handle
Yeah,
those.
totally. Um, so the let's talk about the application process real quick. So the application process involves filling out the application form, surprisingly, which just has, there's some basic information, and then, we want to know what classes they take, all this kind of stuff, why they're interested in coming, you know, some project proposals that they might be interested in, uh, And then we have them do a relatively straightforward problem set where they just have to solve a couple of coding challenges. And the important part about these is not that they get the code correct. The important part that we care about is how did you go about solving this and what challenges do you encounter when solving this? And yeah, that's kind of it for the application form. And then uh, students who submit a good application form are invited to a kind of 15-20 minute, very casual, very friendly interview with Carol, our admissions director. And she will ask them, a few questions to get to know them a bit better. And then, you know, then they hear back at some point, and all of those dates are on the website under the admissions tab. Um, This year has been our most competitive year ever so far. We've, over previous years had a range of admissions rates. This year it's going to be lower than it has been previously. But I would say that it was a fairly competitive program. Um, but not so competitive that it's not worth applying. Because we I don't know. I get a lot of students messaging me, asking me like what, SAT score do I need to get into your program? And we don't care about any of that, right? That's just not relevant to us. I don't care about their SAT score. What we care about is their passion and interest and, excitement about particular topics. Um, and you know, students who don't have perfect SAT scores can sometimes, can often be our best students. And, we don't worry too much about that. Um, in terms of, uh, if you have advanced, so this person, Stephen Turner, has advanced students who are top of their class in the maths and sciences, but they maybe don't understand their kind of inner motivations, and do we help them discover their interests? Absolutely. I think that a really big piece of feedback that we get from students every year is that, oh, I didn't know that I was so interested in this thing before you made me do this thing, and I didn't think I was gonna love it, and then I really, really did, and it was the best. And we're pretty good at coming up with and helping them to find things that they're really excited about and interested in. So yes, for sure. We definitely help kids to find exciting opportunities. Um, so in our last kind of few minutes, I just want to talk briefly about, what happens after the high school program. So after students spend the summer with us at the high school level, they about 50% of them are invited, are given the opportunity to join the Wolfram Emerging Leaders program, which we affectionately call WELP. Um, and they during that program, that is a remote part-time program during the semester during the during the full semester following the summer that they spent with us. And they get into groups of around 3 students, and they figure out together a research project that they're really excited about tackling. And students do a really, really wide variety of things. Some things that um, are, particularly extraordinary, and some things that are fantastic projects for high schoolers. And you know, there's there's a range of topics, a range of you know success, but they do a fantastic, fantastic job. And that's also, each group is led by a mentor. They have a great time. Um, we just got asked, can a student attend the summer programs more than once? Absolutely. We have a lot of students actually who come back each year. Uh, I think last year we had six-ish, five returning students, which feels pretty great. And we also, they will come back as teaching assistants and all of that kind of stuff as well. Um, so each summer we have at minimum kind of 20 returning students because they join the staff team. Um, Speaking of which, during the Emerging Leaders Program, some percentage of those students who are already the top percentage of the summer students are selected to join our TA training program, and they learn how to be teaching assistants for the summer programs and how to be mentors at the middle school camp. And yeah, we we do some pretty in-depth training with them to make sure that they are really fantastic teaching assistants, really fantastic mentors to much younger students. And it's really wonderful to see people come back, multiple years and go up in the ranks. Yeah, we have two mentors this summer who came as students to the high school program and then as TAs and then as lead TAs and are now coming as mentors. One of them came to the summer program as a student three times before he joined the TA team. And yeah, just fantastic. Really great to see people come back around. Um, in our very last couple of minutes, we should talk about computational adventures. So if students are not able to, come to one of our programs, either in person or during the middle school week, or if they're, younger boys, or if you are maybe a teacher, maybe you're you're running a library kind of after school program, you're homeschooling, any of this kind of stuff, Computational Adventures is really for you. So Erin and I wrote these adventures that are really suitable for people of any age, but I think especially useful for the kind of younger students. They can be done individually or in groups. And what this is 12 kind of mini projects, a lot like the explorations that we've been talking about that we do at the summer programs, where students, you know, learn Wolfram language and come up with cool stuff and create a kind of portfolio of projects to do. And yeah, this can be a really very exciting kind of entry point into the Wolfram Education ecosystem. Yeah, so I recommend having a look at those, whether you're an individual or a group or anybody else. Those are a fantastic resource for learning Wolfram language, potentially alongside other kind of Wolfram U uh, classes or elementary introduction to Wolfram language. Um, yeah. Um, yes. So fantastic. I recommend, if you haven't already, going to have a look at the um, websites for the high school program, which is just here. I don't know if we can share links in the chat, but you can find it at education/programs. It's the high school program right here. And that's available to apply. And so is the middle school program. Middle school camp is available still. And Computational Adventures is over here. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, so if nobody has any other questions, then we will leave you be. And I hope that you had, yeah, a good time hanging out with us this afternoon. We had a good time, I think. And yeah, thank you very much for coming, and I hope to see you and all your kids soon.